December 2019, once I saw a documentary about happiness, and I'm not sure if it's on the internet. Could probably be copyrighted. It was shown in a classroom. It's definitely copyrighted. It kind of had that indie documentary feel to it, but I don't think that the term indie has any actual meaning. I think it just means mainstream media production with a very low budget and not so distributed. Anyway, this documentary about happiness, well, I'm not really sure how it was produced behind the scenes because big production media, anything above like hobbyist level, is highly suspect because they can say whatever they want, but they're just narrating something on a screen. You don't know what is actually going on. I mean, look at documentaries about supposed primitive tribes. Those are usually, well, they're actors. They're fake. And not only that, but a lot of the actors of the primitive tribes people are spray-painted matte charcoal black, and they're told to babble in some nonsense language, and oftentimes they're wearing things like shiny watches over their spray-painted skin, and yeah, you can't trust anything on a screen. So, this documentary about happiness supposedly had different shots and scenes from around the world. America, Britain, Canada, India, China. Can't really remember. It was a while ago. And basically the message was people in first world countries are less happy than people in third world countries, and I'm not really even sure what to make of the first world or second world or third world labels because I don't really even know. History is not what we're told. And I hear a lot about how third worlders are more easily satisfied and content with what they have, and they have community, something that is not very present in the first world. And this is all just stuff I've heard secondhand. The people that I've met in real life from supposed third world countries aren't different from the people in my area, and I never got to know them well, but they were pretty much the same and just had a different language. They acted pretty much the same as anybody else did. So this documentary about happiness featured what was called an American woman, Skulls and Bones, and you gotta know that latex masks can look extremely good. I saw some low-budget, jokey, spooky children's TV show, or it was like an episode of Goosebumps on TV or something. And so that was like, in the 90s? And there was masks used, latex masks, and they looked really, really good. Really convincing masks for this low-budget children's show. So that should tell you that latex masks can be very convincing. And there is a story about the American lady, who got into an accident and her face got disfigured, and it was a horror mask. She was just wearing a horror mask, and she was laughing and smiling and duping delight and going on about how she wouldn't change what happened to her because it didn't happen. It was just a story. It was all made up. And I kept thinking, what kind of a real person would be happy with a disfigured face? It was just a mask. Not only that, she was getting paid. So there's that. And, there was no accident. Yeah, that's why she was so accepting. At the end of the day, she just pulled off the mask and got her paycheck. And then some fame. And probably more acting gigs. And can't really remember much else. There was some Indian guy, not a man, just a guy, who had some bicycle taxi service, and he was happy. Yeah. And you know what the documentary never brought up once? It never ever talked about recycled antidepressant piss in the water supply. This is something that you will hear discussed sometimes about cities like London and Toronto, major cities. So many people are on antidepressants and other medications, and apparently that stuff does not come out of the pee. So the water obviously gets recycled from the sewage, but apparently they can't get the medication stuff out of it. I don't know. I don't know how it works, and it's just some people say. And it could be true. I mean, you gotta be careful about what you pay attention to, what you choose to believe. It's entirely possible that recycled antidepressant pee could be influencing people in cities. I don't know.